My spoiled stepmother accused me of stealing $500 from my father and had me kicked out of the house and disinherited, and now, 2 months later, they found the money. My mother passed away very early, and for a long time, my father preferred to stay alone since he didn't want to make me and my sister uncomfortable by bringing someone we didn't know into the house. At first, we liked that, but as time went on, we noticed how sad my father was for not being able to have a love life, and we started encouraging him to go on dates. However, when my stepmother arrived at our house, we quickly realized the kind of person she was. She immediately started treating us as if she were our mother, yelling at us and saying that the house was dirty and that we should clean it, trying to punish us and take away our phones, etc. We always refused to obey her, and at first, our father sided with us. But eventually, he started saying that we should obey everything she said and that she was practically our mother, and this gave her the freedom to basically turn us into her employees, as she constantly made us do her college assignments, buy things for her when she was too lazy to leave the house, and even drive her around, even though she also knew how to drive. The bigger problem started when I refused to do all these things, which led her to pick on me even more, constantly encouraging my father to kick me out of the house because, according to her, I was an ungrateful son. Although my father complained to me many times, he made it clear that he would never kick me out and that I could stay there until I felt comfortable leaving. However, all of this changed when my stepmother withdrew $500 and left it on top of her dresser. She went to take a shower, and when she came back, the money was gone. I was the only one at home, so obviously she started accusing me right away, yelling at me and calling me all imaginable names. She called my father, and he left work immediately, and without even listening to my side of the story, he started searching me to see if I had the money. Of course, he found nothing, but still started yelling at me along with her, and they kicked me out of the house on the spot. They didn't let me take my clothes or my phone, saying they would sell them to make up for what I had done and that I should be ashamed. I was left to fend for myself and couldn't even call anyone, for something I hadn't even done. I managed to ask for some change from a lady on the street and called a friend, who picked me up and let me stay at his house until I sorted things out, and even lent me an old phone. I spoke to my sister a few times, and she said she was sorry and knew I hadn't done anything, but they simply refused to believe it. Furthermore, shortly after that, my father cut me out of the inheritance, which I expected. At this point, I no longer considered him my father. For all these years, he prioritized a stranger above his own children, let her use us as employees, and now, he kicked me out of the house and disinherited me for nothing more than an unfounded accusation. I quickly got a decent job that allowed me to leave my friend's house and rent a small apartment, and honestly, I realized that living alone, even with a little more difficulty, was much better than putting up with my stepmother and my father. I really didn't want to have any contact with either of them for the rest of my life, but one day, my father just showed up crying at my door. I felt nothing but confusion, and I asked him why he was there. He hugged me, and after apologizing 1,000 times, he finally said that when they removed the nightstand to do some renovation, they found the envelope with all the money behind it, untouched. He again begged for my forgiveness 1,000 times, said he was willing to do anything to have my forgiveness, etc. I know many will be against me for this, but at that moment, I refused to forgive him. He was obviously shocked by this and asked me why, and then I said that I had never felt as much peace as I did when I started living alone. Because since my stepmother started living with us, he made sure to take away every right of opinion I had, to forget my importance as a son. And I know that if I forgave him and went back home, eventually she would accuse me of something again, and he would do the same thing he did this time, because that's the kind of person he was. I asked him to leave, because he showed that he didn't consider me as a son, so I also wouldn't consider him as a father. He asked if that was serious, and I said yes. After a while just looking at me, he left. He still tries to call me constantly and even put me back in the inheritance, but honestly, I don't care. He made his choice, and he chose to prioritize my stepmother, so be it. You can now check if there's a part 2 by pressing share and more.